Meeting the love of your life, running away together, and getting married against the odds is a dream shared by countless teenage girls around the world. It is a story built on romance, rebellion, and the intoxicating idea that love alone can conquer anything. For Caroline Crouch, this dream did not feel unrealistic or distant. It felt tangible, thrilling, and real. She was young, impressionable, and full of hope, and when a charismatic older man entered her life in the most dramatic way imaginable, she believed she had found her fairy tale. What she did not know was that this dream would slowly twist into something dark, suffocating, and ultimately deadly. Her story would become one of the most shocking true crime cases Greece had ever seen, a case later described as the murder that fooled the world. Caroline was just 15 years old when she caught the attention of a man who seemed to embody excitement and freedom. He was financially secure, confident, and worked as a helicopter pilot, a profession that carried both status and allure. On more than one occasion, he flew his helicopter over her school, an act that felt straight out of a movie. To a teenager, it was irresistible. Friends were impressed, whispers followed, and Caroline felt chosen. That man was Charalambos Anagnostopoulos, known to everyone as Babish. He was 12 years older than her, and from the very beginning, the imbalance in their relationship was quietly forming beneath the surface. Their relationship moved quickly, faster than anyone expected. Babish showered Caroline with attention and affection, and she interpreted his intensity as love. Against concerns and raised eyebrows, the two eventually ran away together. Not long after, they married. To outsiders, it looked like a bold, romantic decision. To Caroline, it felt like destiny. She believed she had stepped into a beautiful new life, one filled with passion, protection, and belonging. What she could not see at the time was how that speed, that intensity, and that isolation would later become tools used against her. Caroline Crouch was born on July 12, 2001, in Athens, Greece, to David Crouch, a retired engineer, and Susan Delasta. When she was 8 years old, her family relocated to the Greek island of Alonissos, drawn by its natural beauty and peaceful coastal atmosphere. The island shaped Caroline's personality. She grew up surrounded by the sea, developing a deep love for swimming and scuba diving. She was athletic, adventurous, and known for her gentle nature. Those who knew her described her as kind, warm, and deeply devoted to the people she loved. It was on this island that Caroline met Babish in 2017 during a Good Friday parade. At the time, he was visiting Alonissos, where his mother lived and worked as a teacher at Caroline's school. Babish was charming, confident, and worldly. He took photographs, told stories of flying, and presented himself as someone who could offer Caroline an escape from the simplicity of island life. To a 15-year-old girl, he seemed extraordinary. To him, Caroline was young, impressionable, and easily shaped. Despite the significant age difference, the relationship continued. By the time Caroline turned 18, the couple had already made plans to formalize their bond. They married in Portugal on July 15, 2019, choosing to elope rather than hold a traditional Greek wedding. To some, this seemed romantic. To others, it raised quiet concerns. The absence of family, the speed of the commitment, and Caroline's youth all hinted at something unbalanced. Still, the couple returned to Greece and began building a life together. They settled in the suburb of Glykonera, on the outskirts of Athens, renting a 2-story maisonette. Caroline enrolled in college, while Babish continued working as a helicopter pilot. On social media, they appeared happy. Photos showed smiling faces, affectionate captions, and a picture-perfect life. When Caroline became pregnant, the image of domestic bliss only grew stronger. Their daughter was born in 2020, and to the outside world, the family seemed complete. Behind closed doors, however, reality was far more complicated. Caroline kept a diary, a private space where she recorded thoughts she could not share publicly. In its pages, she expressed doubts, fear, and emotional pain. She wrote about arguments, control, and feeling trapped. Babish was becoming increasingly possessive, managing the household finances and limiting Caroline's independence. Though her parents occasionally sent her money, even that was reportedly taken by her husband. Caroline loved him, but she also felt suffocated by him. Despite these struggles, the couple made plans for the future. Just days before Caroline's death, they purchased a plot of land with the intention of building their dream home. Caroline's parents gifted her €50,000 to help with the purchase, and the couple kept approximately €10,000 in cash inside the house. At the time, many Greeks avoided banks due to economic instability, making it common to store cash at home. Caroline had no reason to believe this decision would place her life in danger. In the early hours of Tuesday, May 11, 2021, everything changed. At approximately 4:30 a.m., Babish was jolted awake by the sound of intruders inside the house. According to his later account, 3 masked men armed with pistols overpowered him almost immediately. They tied his hands and feet, blindfolded him with duct tape, and rendered him helpless. He claimed they spoke with Greek and Albanian accents and demanded money repeatedly. The intruders then turned their attention to Caroline, who was 19 years old at the time. Their 11-month-old daughter woke up, crying nearby. Babish later told police that he could hear his wife screaming as one of the men threatened their baby with a gun. He said he struggled against his restraints, but a rope tightened around his neck, causing him to lose consciousness multiple times. He described the situation as pure terror, believing they were all about to die. According to Babish, he eventually fainted completely. When he regained consciousness, the house was silent. The intruders were gone. The only sound he could hear was his baby crying. After roughly 30 minutes, he managed to reach his mobile phone and dial emergency services using his nose. The call was muffled due to the duct tape over his mouth, but he managed to convey that robbers had entered the house and that help was needed urgently. First responders arrived around 6 a.m. What they found inside the house was disturbing. The living area was in disarray. Drawers were pulled out, belongings scattered across the floor, and the kitchen appeared ransacked. An open Monopoly board game box lay among the chaos, the same box where the couple had hidden their cash. On the couch, a security camera had been ripped from the wall, its memory card missing. One of the most horrifying discoveries was found on the staircase. The family's husky puppy, Roxy, was hanging from her leash, strangled. The sight was shocking and deeply unsettling. In the main bedroom, Babish was found tied up on the floor, duct tape covering his eyes and mouth. On the bed lay Caroline, face down and motionless. Beside her was their infant daughter, crying and attempting to wake her mother. Caroline was pronounced dead at the scene. She had been smothered with a pillow. Her death was not instant. For approximately 6 minutes, she fought for her life. Bruises on her body indicated resistance, and injuries to her mouth suggested intense struggle. There were no signs of sexual assault. Her daughter, though distressed, was physically unharmed. The scene painted a picture of a brutal home invasion gone wrong. Police initially believed 4 men were involved, 3 inside the house and 1 acting as a lookout. Based on Babish's account and the apparent evidence, investigators reconstructed the sequence of events, concluding that the intruders had entered through a basement window, killed the dog, restrained the couple, stolen cash and valuables, and murdered Caroline before fleeing. Public outrage spread quickly. Greece was shaken by the brutality of the crime, particularly the killing of a young mother and a family pet. Media coverage intensified, and Babish became a central figure in interviews, expressing grief and devastation. He spoke lovingly of Caroline, describing her as the joy of his life and vowing to seek justice for her death. Police launched an extensive investigation. They analyzed nearby security footage and identified a dark-colored vehicle and a motorcycle in the area around the time of the murder. Suspects were questioned, including known criminals involved in violent robberies. One such individual, a Georgian national with a history of break-ins, was arrested but later cleared due to lack of evidence. The case began to stall, and public frustration grew. As weeks passed, subtle cracks began to form in the narrative. Investigators noticed inconsistencies that could not be ignored. The basement window Babish claimed was used for entry was extremely small, too small for the physique of the intruder he described. Neighbors reported hearing a dog in distress but no sounds of a violent home invasion. There were no fingerprints or DNA linking unknown assailants to the scene. Digital evidence further complicated matters. Data revealed that the security camera's memory card had been removed hours before the supposed break-in. Caroline's smartwatch showed a sharp increase in heart rate at a time that did not align with Babish's account, followed by a sudden stop. Babish's fitness app indicated movement during periods he claimed to be restrained. Attempts to replicate his emergency call under similar conditions failed. Investigators also uncovered deeply troubling personal details. Caroline had attempted to book a hotel room for herself and her daughter the night she was killed. Text messages revealed she was considering leaving her husband. Her diary entries painted a picture of emotional distress, manipulation, and fear. What once looked like a random act of violence now appeared to be something far more personal. On June 17, 2021, 37 days after the murder, police quietly approached Babish during a memorial service and asked him to accompany them to Athens. There, he was confronted with the mounting evidence. After hours of interrogation, his story collapsed. He confessed to killing Caroline, admitting that the home invasion had been staged. According to his confession, the couple argued the night before her death. Caroline wanted to leave with their child. In a moment of rage, Babish strangled her and smothered her with a pillow, killing her in front of their baby. He then murdered the dog, staged the scene, tied himself up, and fabricated the robbery. The man who had publicly mourned his wife was revealed to be her killer. In May 2022, Babish was convicted of premeditated murder, obstruction of justice, false testimony, and animal abuse. He was sentenced to life in prison. Caroline Crouch's story remains a haunting reminder of how easily appearances can deceive, and how control disguised as love can end in tragedy. Her daughter will grow up without knowing her mother, except through photographs, memories, and the truth. A truth that shocked a nation, fooled the world, and left behind a legacy of heartbreak that can never be undone.